welcome to Council Action. I'm Russell Inman, and joining us tonight from Ward 2 is Councilman Tim Jones. Tim?
Always a pleasure to see you, my friend.
Man, it's good to see you too.
You bet.
It's good to see you too. What's going on with you? Let's change the meeting up a little bit. We'll get about this, but tell me a little bit about what's going on in your ward.
My ward, I keep pretty busy. Everybody knows I'm retired at an early age, so I'm a little bit more active because of that retirement. So I get a lot of calls during the day, and I stay interactive with a lot of my seniors that are retired, of course, and I don't know, I'm very interactive with my seniors out there in my ward.
Tim, I do hear that your residents know that they can get a hold of you when they need you. I do hear constant compliments that you're there for them, and you return the calls.
Oh, you betcha. I mean, one of the reasons I ran is because of that. So I'm going to make sure I do return my phone calls and stay active. And you got to work around everybody else's schedule because you know, most people are at work. Some work night shift, some work day shift. But I try to stay proactive out there and see what's going on the streets of my neighborhood.
Any new developments going on in your ward?
There's some coming up, but no, everything's probably going just about the same. I do stay active also, though, not just with the residents in my ward. I also stay active with the businesses in my ward. Okay. Not too long ago, we did appropriate, how do I say this? We have an officer that helps the businesses now and that works with them, and I try to keep him actively moving in my ward. Any issues or questions come up, any of the businesses ask me, I definitely pass word to them. We have an officer, and I send them to them. Which is good. I think they need to know what's going on, and vice versa, the police does too. We work hand in hand with the police department. Chief Lowry's always on us, use these resources. That's what we have them for. And so he's pushing that stuff on us more and more actively. We're trying to get in our neighborhoods to let our businesses and residents know that we're there for him.
Well, Tim, thanks for being active in your ward. We appreciate that. The residents appreciate that. We'll jump into the meeting and let's get your input on a few things.
Sure.
We've had a lot of hearing from citizens lately where we get the Bully Alliance coming in and talking about pit bulls. They've been encouraged to get some more information and to get some information from the residents as to how the city's current ban on the pit bull breed is. What are your takes on their
Well,
comments?
I mean, there's a lot of conversation about it, and some of the residents here with the Alliance do live in Florissant. Not a bulk of them, but some of the people do. And when your residents speak, you got to listen. And they have evidently put a polling together that they did in the city of Florissant, and they handed us out leaflets tonight. So we're going to sit down and look at that and go from there.
Okay. We had a budget message from the mayor tonight. This is just the beginning of the 2017 fiscal year budget that's going to be coming out soon.
Yes,
we got
our big packets tonight. No, it'll be very interesting. These time and days, we got to look at each budget differently. Not just the monies, but what the people are needing and what our city needs. So we're going to sit down collectively and all sit down and go through that, and hopefully it'll end up for the best for the residents of the city of Florissant, because that's what we are, is the stewards of some of these monies to making sure they're going to the right places.
Absolutely. Public hearings tonight, Tim. We had a request to rezone Lions Properties LLC, DBA Dunkin' Donuts. It's a property located at 8115 North Lindbergh. Be moving from a B3 extensive commercial district to a B5 planned commercial district to allow for construction of a new building, and this one was postponed.
You know, it sounds pretty controversial. They have not brought us the plans yet on the donuts, which is surprisingly, usually they would have them in our hands before they would come to us. That has not happened yet. Also, a gentleman brought up that there was another Dunkin' Donuts here not too long ago, and it failed. And the guy asked, well, what makes it so different that this one is going to succeed? And we don't know that. All we're trying to do is plug more businesses into the city of Florissant that we see that's appropriate for the neighborhoods where they're going. We don't want to just throw them in just for them to make money. We're here to make the city residents happy. Do we need that Dunkin' Donuts over there? There's a lot of questions that come with it. So a lot of people, when they come to these meetings, just assume a lot of things. we got to do our background work, get our ducks in a row, as they say, before we okay some of these things. And we're not always perfect neither, but we're sure trying hard to please the residents of Florissant.
Yeah, the question was asked if this was going to be the same owner of this Dunkin' Donuts that was at the one that was closed down. Do we even know that yet?
Yes, the way I understand from the mayor speaking, that it's a separate developer. They do plan on building a whole building where before they was renting a spot.
Gotcha.
And it was an awkward place where the other Dunkin' Donuts was. Now, we do have a few other donut shops in the city that are well-attended, well-liked. I mean, it's a hangout for a lot of our seniors at the donut shops. I always stop in them all because you get a lot of good feedback of what's going on in the neighborhood at the donut shop, believe it or not. So donut shops are a positive thing. The sugars are not, but the donuts are, you know.
Donuts are. There was also a public hearing concerning the fiscal year 2017 annual plan for the Florissant Community Development Block Grant Program.
Yes, Tim Lee brought up a couple questions because we have this stuff thrown at us. Carol O'Mara is the one that runs this and does an excellent job, tries to give us a breakdown on this. Tim just asked a question. The things that we were going over tonight, was that for this fiscal year or the next one? We wanted to make sure we was talking about the same thing. And Carol came up and gave a good explanation just to put us on the record where we were at and which one which is for.
Right.
So it was appreciated what she did. She does a good job over there.
Good. Second readings tonight. The first one, ordinance to amend the zoning code for clarification of a special use for the educational development centers in a B3 zoning. This was up for a second reading, but it looks like it got postponed. Some rework is going to be done.
Yes, Mark Schmidt, which is our senior council person, suggested that we bring it back to Phil Lum and have him take a look at it again. It was a controversial one the last council meeting we had. And like I said, Mark being senior like that, he picks up on these small things that we always don't. So we definitely listen to Mark because he's been on our council so long. He's very knowledgeable on some of these things that we miss sometimes.
If I remember right, the conversation that came up from a meeting ago on the Educational Development Center is to make sure, are we talking about childcare facilities? Are we looking at, the tutoring type facilities as well? Trying to really.
That is correct. There's
clarification.
There's a couple other things too that's been coming up about this stuff that we do not allow them in shopping centers. And then we're starting to say, okay, is this a child care facility? Is this an educational facility with it? So there's some things that are kind of getting bunched up that we need to stop and take a look at to make sure we're okay. And because if we don't, one gets put in up the street, and then all of a sudden somebody else comes up and says, well, you did them up the street. Why not us? So we're trying to make sure we do our homework before we give the full vote on this.
Okay. Then there was an ordinance amending Section 520-255, removal of unlawful signs in the public right-of-way of city property by deleting this in its entirety and replacing it. So what are we replacing it with?
Well, that is a good question. That is not up yet, but we don't think that we should have to give notice to an illegal sign. So if an illegal sign's posted, the neighborhood's all calling because we've always had election problems with signs.
Okay.
Not just elections, lots of other signs. The for rent signs, for houses, garage sales, so on and so forth. We shouldn't have to be able to go out and give a notice. By that time, the week is, or 10 days is gone. The sign is sat there for 10 days. It's now yanked out. Well, in the meantime, you have a lot of upset people. How come the city is not removing the sign?
Okay. Request tonight, there was a request for a full package liquor license. This is for Hare Krishna LLC. They do business as Magic Mart, and they're located at 12779 New Halls Ferry Road. That request was approved. A pretty standard liquor license.
Yes.
There.
That was no problem. Usually when the council comes up to a vote for something like that, wherever the liquor license is going, whatever ward, that councilman usually does his homework on it and gives us feedback before the vote comes up.
Okay. Bills for first reading. The first one was the Community Development Block Grant Fund. We just spoke about that one. The second was an authorization of a transfer for $15,000 from the insurance, fire, and liability account to the postage and printing to cover an anticipated shortfall and the postage for the balance of the fiscal year.
Yes,
Just a budget item?
yes, and we voted no on that this evening.
Okay. And the ordinance amending Title 6, Section 605 by deleting Article, now I don't know my Roman numerals well enough to read this one.
Sure.
But residential real estate in its entirety and replacing it, providing additional regulations.
That is something that the council and us have been working on for some time. The residents took a vote on that, overwhelmingly passed that, saying we need help with our rental facilities. That would be in apartments, houses, things of that nature. Me and Jackie Pagano sit on the committee. We have worked on it for about a year and a half solid now. So I think everybody's kind of waiting for this thing to come. We've tried to work with the landlords and the renters. We're not against neither. We're just trying to help them to make our city a little bit better to live in, a little bit more beautiful place. And it looks like they need a hand. And so we have stepped in. Like I said, the residents voted for this overwhelmingly, that this needs to be done. We've used a thing called crime-free housing that a lot of cities, I think over 13,000 cities in the United States have used. It's on about 7 continents. It's did wonders for a lot of the cities. So we're trying to get that in place. We did one reading on it now. We're hoping to get our other 2 and get that in place. And it's going to help the city out on our rental, all our rentals. It's gonna help our city. We was told by sitting with the city of Belleville, Kansas City, Missouri, that over a period of time, when this comes into effect, we will see the betterment of the neighborhood once this thing's in place. So we're looking forward to this, and we're, like I said, we're not against landlords, we're not against renters. Me, myself,
We just want the right landlords and the right renters.
well, that's true, but I mean, yeah, you can't always pick and choose because there's different legal loopholes that says you cannot do this and you cannot do that. We're not picking anybody out. We're just trying to make a better neighborhood for everybody else. I've been on both sides of the fence. I've rented when I was a young man a house for quite a few years. And then as I moved on, got older, purchased my own house. When I got married, the lady that I did marry had 3 rental homes. So I've been on both sides of it. I did end up selling the rental homes because they turned into a pain in the butt. You could not enjoy your investment because you had so many problems with the renters that were coming in. And that's something that we're trying to avoid. Some of the things that stick out about this in my mind when we met with the city of Belleville was we had some landlords over there that were sat on the board, and they told me now they do enjoy their investment because they don't have the problems, because they are doing different things to bring better renters into their houses. So that was a big sticking point to me, and like I said, I look forward to this thing getting put in place. I think the whole council does, the chief of police. We have one of our officers, Sean Coomer, that will be helping with this. It's a piece of called crime-free housing. It's not the whole thing of crime-free housing. Some of the good things we've had in the past, we did intermix that with the crime-free housing. But no, anybody can jump online and look that up. It's called crime-free housing. But we look forward to doing this. And like I said, the money from A&R that everybody voted for overwhelmingly, that is putting some money back into this. And when I say into this, it's letting us hire a 3rd code enforcement police officer. When I was first elected, we had 1 code enforcement officer for the whole city of Florissant. The houses are getting older now, the neighborhoods are changing, and just like us, as we get older, we need to be maintained more. And that's the way I look at it. So we have now, this is going to be a 3rd code enforcement cop. And that's what's very important in these neighborhoods is your streets, your housing, your schools, and your police department. And so them are 4 things that we look at very hard to try to bring new young people into our neighborhood, and old too.
Good. Well, we'll get to learn more about that at the next meeting too. Other things you always mention at the end of a meeting, team, always looking for donations?
You bet. I always,
Morning, noon, or night?
Morning, noon, or night, there's always somebody hungry. I've learned that a long time ago. And everybody's had their ups and downs in life. Everybody's been laid off one time or another or had problems with their bills, including myself. So I definitely don't forget where I come from, and I'm going to share that with everybody that I can to let them know if they got a little extra change in their pocket or a couple extra canned goods, because we always just don't have the bad times. We have the good times too, where we are a little bit more fortunate than some other people. And we need to stop once in a while and think about that and run up there and take a couple dollars out of our pocket or a couple extra canned goods and run it up there. Team is a big thing. There's been some other things that happened in our city not too long ago that I won't go into a big spill about, that's hurt some of our community where they try to outreach at and try to get help. And it's been hard on that for some of the people that is not been very helpful on that. So the more people we get involved, the more food and money we can get down to those facilities, the more it helps our people when they are in that bad spot.
And one big thing that's coming up for the city of Florissant is the Fall Festival.
Fall Festival.
Right around the corner.
You betcha. And the Fall Festival is always a great time. It brings everybody, every aspect of life out in our neighborhoods. And let's just hope we got good weather. Another thing I'd like to mention too, our last Wednesday night out is tomorrow evening. And that is always a special event too. This one is up at Hendel's. And that's been bringing more bigger crowds every time. And we're cross fingers on the weather on that one too.
All right, Tim. Pleasure working with you tonight, going through the agenda. I think we covered it well. Thanks again for what you do and serving your residents well.
You betcha. Thanks, and see you later, Florissant.
Thanks for watching. I'm Russell Inman. This has been Council Action. We'll see you next time.
Okay, now you guys don't ever go out and have a beer afterwards. No?